All right, let's hear a little bit about Star Homes of Greece. How long have you been around, and where's your development, and what's going on?
Well, we've been around for about 4 to 5 years, and we're out in Greece, right off Raspberry Patch Drive. There's a new subdivision, which is off North Greece Road.
Uh-huh.
And we have another section right on Thornapple.
4 to 5 years. I sense you did something before this.
Yes, I was a trim carpenter before that. For probably about 35 years, I think. My father-in-law dragged me into the business.
Dragged you into the business? Or?
Yeah, he dragged me in. I met my wife when we were like 17, and I was working at General Motors. Mm-hmm. And it was a big layoff, same thing with the cars, problems they had back then. And I got laid off. He said, come and work with me for the summer till you get called back. And that was it.
What fascinated you about the biz?
I don't know. I had no interest to be in it. I mean, I went to college to become an accountant. So
Really?
I ended up pounding nails for a living for 40 years. So it was interesting because you're working for yourself, you're self-employed, and you had a trade, and you learned how to, make stairs and line up doors and do casings and crown moldings and bookcases and wood railings and everything else. And it was really interesting to do. And working for yourself, and you put a lot of hours in. But it was nice. You came and go as you wanted. And they tell you it was self-employed, but you really don't.
But just to clarify, a trim carpenter, you actually do the pretty work, the finishing
all the interior work.
Yeah, so he does the detail stuff that you see visibly from, the untrained eye sees it.
Which, everybody used to say we had the best world as a subcontractor. You never had the snow, you never had the cold. When you were inside doing houses, they had to have heat in the wintertime for the drywall to dry. Mm-hmm. So you never had rain. You didn't have the sun beating down on you. So you were basically inside the house all the time doing the interior finish work, which was nice.
You remind me of a friend of mine that I went to high school with who we had no hint that he wanted to do basically what you do now. He's a builder, master builder in Plymouth, Massachusetts. Mm-hmm. And he was an English student, wanted to be a teacher, but now he's built this amazing empire. He builds houses as you do. But I remember the first thing he built. He built me a bookshelf when we were college roommates. Do you remember the first thing you built?
The first thing I did, I was probably doing baseboard.
Yeah.
It was in setting the nails in after, because we didn't have nail guns back then. Everything was nailed by hand.
Yeah.
And you had a nail set, and you did all the lower work. Everybody else did, the staircases and the wood railings and built the steps, lined up the doors, and you started at the bottom like everything else, or cleanup. As I used to think cleanup was, a punishment. Yeah. And later you come to find out that was the best part because you didn't have to work.
Right.
Got the broom and
Push the broom
and cleaned up, and that was it, which was the nice part.
And now you have Star Homes. Give me a picture of what Star Homes are all about. What if I was to picture a Star Home? If I'm going to drive by Raspberry Patch Drive, what would I see?
You'd probably see the house. Probably the $350,000 range, $300,000 to $350,000 up to $400,000. They would have a brick front or stone front on it. A lot of gables in the front of the house, hip roofs on them. Very detailed, no box colonials. Mm-hmm. You have your colonials, but there would be a lot of roof line to it. So when you're looking at it, it'd be very eye appealing for the houses.
Yeah, they're beautiful
nice.
homes. I live over in that neighborhood, and the homes are just absolutely gorgeous.
You live over by that neighborhood or in that neighborhood?
No, by that neighborhood. It's kind of out of my price range a little bit.
Well,
but
right now it is, but
it's beautiful, and the houses are gorgeous, and they're huge, and you can get. From what I understand, I had a neighbor who moved into that neighborhood and built, and just absolutely loves it. He has this sound system wired in his house, and you can get all kinds of add-ons, and I'm sure you can pretty much custom make whatever someone wants.
Yeah, they have a blueprint, and you go off the blueprint for the exterior of their house and most of the interior walls, but the person can redesign the interior. Like, we bring them to the cabinet company, and just because it looks like that on the blueprint, what the cabinets are supposed to look like, that's not what they're going to get.
Yeah.
They can design whatever they want for the interior of the cabinetry they want, bookcases, however they want to put them in for the kids' rooms or the crown moldings in the bedrooms.
Does that ever get to be a pain in the neck? Because when I think of this stuff, I of course think of my wife and what she would, although she thinks like a builder thinks, and she thinks, she has a pretty good mind that way.
My wife also does.
Yeah, but eventually you're going to go, all right, enough's enough. Well, just let me do my work.
Well, you have to be, obviously you're very polite with the homeowner because there's not a lot of them out there right now.
Yeah.
And you try to be good as you could with them. Like when we get a homeowner, most of the times your builder will say you just go to a cabinet company, and we won't mention names of certain cabinet companies.
Sure.
But you just go there and get your cabinets, and you go here and get your windows. We actually take them to all these places.
Oh.
We'll take them to the plumbing supply house and go with them 2-3 times so they get their stuff. Mm-hmm. Especially, you get a lot of times now, you get women buying houses by themselves.
Oh, yeah.
And they don't like going and talking to men in a plumbing supply house by themselves or a cabinet company because they feel like they're going to be talked into something.
Yeah.
So we'll take them to the plumbing companies and the window companies and the cabinet companies. And after 1 or 2 times, if they want us to keep coming back, we'll keep going with them. But after that, if they got to deal with pricing, they might not want you there. They might want to just talk to the guys that are doing the sales and say, how much more they want to spend. Because you start looking at kitchen cabinets now, you can spend, $25,000, $30,000, $40,000 for kitchen cabinets in houses.
Easy now.
Yeah.
What's just curious, Steve? What's your favorite part of your business, building homes?
Being with the homeowners.
It's
nice to talk to them and see what they like, and you get a lot of funny little things that they want.
Quirk.
Some of them can drive you crazy.
Yeah.
Like what? Give me an example.
Something like an 1/8 of an inch off. And we put a fireplace in somebody. It was a 3-sided fireplace, and they had a light in the middle of the fireplace.
And they could tell an 1/8 of an inch off.
Oh yeah, and I'm like,
Holy.
She's looking at it, and she was a doctor, and
oh boy,
she's going, and she couldn't get in the house unless I was there, and I'm like, I'm looking at it, and I go, how can you tell that light's an 1/8 of an inch off?
Yeah,
and there's a floor joist running right in the middle, and I said, well, we actually put a half box in there for the electrical, so it can be more towards the center. She was like, actually put a level there and ran the level down. I'm going,
wow.
You think the light's going to shine different an 1/8 of an inch?
But the customer's always right.
And it's like, I can't take the floor joist out and move it over. She goes, well, there's an 1/8 of an inch between the box and the floor joist. I go, I'm thinking to myself, you're kidding me.
Now, if you have to do, that's a major job for an 1/8 of an inch.
Yeah.
Do you work that cost into her bottom line, or is this some stuff you just got to do?
It's something you have to do. I mean, you give them a price on a house, and not unless they start buying extras. Like when they go through the can lights, you give them so many, like we usually give them like 16 can lights in a house, standard. If they start to want, get 18, 20, 24, then you charge them for each one. But, you just have some funny stories. I mean, the people, the more money they have are the funnier ones they deal with because they have no idea of construction.
Well, yeah.
Right.
We had a doctor, and I gave him a set of blueprints when we started the basement. And he comes up to me one day, goes, you're going to give me a set of blueprints? I said, I already gave you a set. But if you want another set, I give them to you. He goes, you didn't. I go, yes, I did. I remember the day I gave them to you. He goes, oh, they weren't blue.
Oh. Okay, Doc.
And I'm thinking, I walked out there and turned my head and laughing, and I'm like, wow. Or he comes up to me and says, the basement's too small when we dug the basement.
Best home build you ever had? Oh, I'm sorry.
The basement is too small. How can it be?
We had a hole in the ground, and they had the first course of block there. I go, how could it be too small? He goes, because you got 2 foot on each side of it. And I go, well, that's the overdig. When they come and stake out a basement, it's staked out. They dig it. You can go measure it once it's done, but that's the size of it. That's an overdig.
Amazing.
So people can get down there and work.
I got a question. What's the best home build you've ever done where you can say, man, that was my favorite, most satisfying job? Do you have an example or a story with that? Or
is the homeowner themselves, or just the house quality of it?
Maybe the quality, maybe something that you can remember off the top of your head. That was my best job ever. That I love the customer, or I love the project that I did. Maybe some detail about it.
The one we built the doctor for, we built them the one doctor. We built a couple of doctors' houses, and the one doctor was really nice. Everything that you talked to him about was fine and okay. He didn't complain about pricing of anything, and they were really nice people to deal with.
Just everything flowed nicely.
They were not knowledgeable of anything, so it was fun to deal with them and try to explain things to them.
Yep.
You get some. He was probably the nicest one, and it was probably like a $450,000-$500,000 house.
Okay, nice.
And then you get some of the other ones. We built some young couples, 16, 1,700 square foot houses, and they're very nice to deal with too. The younger couples.
Yep.
But you get some of them. Some of them can just drive you crazy.
Yeah.
Just the little details that they're looking for. They're measuring the inside partitions of a house, and they're going, it's a 1/4 inch off or 1/2 inch off, and I go.
You don't like those. You don't like those people who find things off.
Yeah, it's like
it's so insignificant.
The framers are working with a blueprint, and they're trying to frame it as close as possible. But you can't get things like I said, you get things within a 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch, you're doing pretty good on a house like that.
Do you find anybody just says, just build it for me? I'll just take the cookie cutter, the cabinets that come with it. Give it to me.
No.
No.
We really don't have, even on a cookie cutter house. You still don't. Everything is still picked out.
Yeah.
They go out and pick their faucets. They're not like your Ryan Homes or stuff like that, and a few other ones in Rochester. We actually have selections that they can go to. You go to a supply house and pick out your cabinets, and you go to a plumbing supply house and pick out your faucets and your sinks. You want oval or round, or what color tubs. So no, there's really nobody that actually just goes in and says, just build that house and that's it.
Yeah, I could imagine that. You know, you're building a house is a big investment. It's a big step, and I don't think I would know anybody that would go, you know what? Yeah. Go ahead and do
I trust you. Just,
I trust you.
I love pink and orange. Just live it
Just
up.
take a check, blank check. Just fill it out when you're done.
You'd like to see that.
Yeah, it's almost impossible, though, because it's like you go from siding colors, roofing colors, interior paint colors, cabinets, trim.
Too many decisions for me.
There's a lot
personally.
of decisions. It's a big process.
Yeah.
We used to tell people, husband and wife are usually the ones that have the biggest problem with each other.
Yeah.
And we said, if you can build a house and not be divorced, you're doing pretty good.
You know what I used to do when I sold houses? I always would side with the wife because she would always win anyway.
Oh, yeah.
So I dropped the subtle hint. I favor the wife because it always worked.
So it works that way in marriage.
Yeah.
No matter what.
Look at Steve agreeing with you right down the line there.
He knows it. He knows how to do the deal.
Steve Rusey is with Star Homes of Greece. Lots to talk about. I mentioned I have this paint dilemma in my house with the paint smell that won't go away. Think about that for a couple of seconds. I want to ask you. And I also want to find out what your feel is for the housing industry right now in Rochester. We're here till 10 o'clock. We are Pat Coyne, Alex, Steve Hausman, myself, and you on Property Source Radio at Sports Radio 950 ESPN.